Hey, what's up? It's Jason, of course. And I do these every once in a while. And thought I'd just talk about whatever is going, everything that's been going on the channel as well. Um, if you have any questions, shoot. I'll probably answer if I see it. So main thing I've done recently is for the channel is a vaporwave mix called Moonlight International. I was able to squeeze quite a lot into a little over an hour for that mix. Aroma Virtuals in it, My Dreaming Venture. Um, just all the super colorful tracks that I've been into. Those kind of artists that I've been into for quite a while. As well as a bunch of newcomers here and there as well. There's always somebody new showing up every month or so, it seems like. So I always try to catch up with both the old and the new artists, definitely. That mix is kind of structured like a lot of them are. So there's the synthier stuff towards the end, hip hoppier stuff towards the middle to end. So yeah, been a pretty good year so far. Work's going well, class is going well. The mixes. It's kind of a thing of you know what I mean. What it takes longest about it is kind of finding the songs in general for the mixes. So that's kind of a thing that I don't really try to force. I kind of let it gradually happen. I'll check in with everything maybe like once a week or so on SoundCloud. I see what's going on Bandcamp. Um, all these places will kind of show you what's new. SoundCloud, for example, that's a big one where you can see what everyone likes. And there will be like a like section on there. So if you have a favorite artist, see what they like, and then just keep going on from there. And then, of course, what helps you even more with that is it has a feature on the side on SoundCloud that lets you see everything that's been reposted by everyone you follow. So yeah, I'm constantly, I would say, finding new stuff as it comes. But I definitely not. I don't try to like put just old stuff in a mix. I try to, I'll put some classic or older stuff here and there, but definitely I try to promote the new stuff for sure as much as I can. The people and their songs that really keep the whole kind of genre alive. Not just vaporwave, not just synth, but also all of the in betweens. Like November is in there, and some artists like that who are really good at making a kind of slower tempo synthwave music that I would say really fits into that kind of vaporwave world for sure. So yeah, just try to pick the prettiest kind of stuff as possible. Um, they're all pretty rhythmic too, for sure. But and then I usually like to go for more ambient stuff towards the end. Hi Octawave, what's up? So yeah, I did that. I'm always looking for stuff for the next one, whenever that'll be. Gathering stuff for an electronic mix too. Also, don't know when that'll be. Um, yeah, for that one, I have a handful of songs that I definitely know of that I want to use. Some newer ones, and some stuff that I just haven't featured yet, for sure. Um, Yeah, I like quite a lot of electronic stuff. Sorry. Yeah, Boards of Canada has always been a huge one for me. Um, Flying Lotus, definitely. Yeah, I've just always liked really colorful, melodic electronic music. Stuff that always blends the line between hip hop, too, for sure. Yeah. So, what did I do last year? In case anyone might have missed it, I did a mix last year called, or a vaporwave mix last year. I think towards the end of the summer. And that's called Pixel Perfect. So if you like this newest one, I would definitely check that out. Bunch of the same sort of artists as well as newer ones at the time, and then the newer ones at that time were in this newer one, and so on. Um, yeah, Vector Graphics. Vector Graphics is in there. Has always been a big one for me. Low Ranger too, in terms of the more hip hopier style. Um, Vaporwave, the really fuzzy type stuff, or really good at incorporating beats into their samples. Definitely. Um, yeah, quite a lot of hip hopier stuff in the beginning. Lost Traveler is in there. Sky, all kinds of people. Um, and they're in this newer one too, of course. Yeah, Moonlight International. Um, yeah, that's another one that I listen to on my own as well. Because I definitely say I make them for myself in a lot of ways, for sure. Just stuff that I've listened to the most, throughout that handful, couple of months of that year. Yeah. Thank you, Dead Snake. Hey, Tamara. How is everybody? We got some people now. Awesome. So, what else? What else has been going on the channel? Still uploading individual songs, full albums here and there as well, like always. Last year I did it quite a lot, almost every other day. Sometimes every day, like towards the spring last year, because I was just finding quite a lot. So I dropped something from somebody every day or so as I found it. Yep, of all types too. Yeah, definitely. So been doing that, still doing that, and then I have all these visuals that I've been doing. I don't know if anyone's been keeping up on the channel, but since last summer, around that time that I did the Pixel Perfect mix, I have been making all of these visuals for all of the songs that were in a mix I did about a year or so ago, called Late Shifters. So I only have about maybe what, like four or five. Actually, I think only like three or four more visuals to do left to do at this point. Because I've been doing one visual for each song in that mix, each with its own theme. So that last one, the more synthy one, called Raindrops from DK, that one is all the visual I did for that one. It's all stuff I found from this channel that has a lot of different stock footage from various countries, and a lot of it is from Japan. So I grabbed a lot of 80s Japan footage. It's all like noticeably HD too. So I like a lot of that stuff. Um, and I just think it fits really well with the song. Um, and that footage is from all types, or all areas of Japan. So you'll see more of the more rural areas, the more neighborhood areas, and then of course the big Tokyo kind of big cities for sure. I try to get everything in there Then, of course, I did one for another visual for Prism Age, his song on the end of that mix called Matchsticks. That is all stuff that I cut up from various PBS promos and stuff on TV. There's archive channels for all this stuff, but I found a bunch that a lot of it mostly dedicated to like local TV stations like PBS, because PBS has a different kind of substation for each state in America, I think. And then, of course, I think it's called what, like the Film Board of Canada, if you live in Canada. That kind of viewer-run channel that has been around for a very long time. So I felt that a lot of the nature documentaries and the commercials and stuff on there definitely fit with that song. But yeah, these channels, it's all stuff that I think these guys got from VHS tapes that they either dug up or had just taped from a long time ago, archiving stuff like that. So not just PBS, but for anything really. Commercials. Yeah. Did that one. The one for My Dreamy Adventure, that After 8 track. That one, that visual is all from HBO promos. So I went about that the same way. Went and found all this footage of old 80s promos for HBO, and it's kind of cropped up all my favorite stuff. Again, I felt kind of fit with the song as one of the more up-tempo ones for sure. Yeah. So I think the visual as a whole, I'll put everything together once I'm done, and that should be done hopefully before summer starts. Yeah. So just got a few more to do. One I'm working on right now is that second track for My Dreamy Adventure, Lone Rider. And that's all stuff that I've been looking for. This one has been taking a little bit in terms of finding good footage for it, because it's a little bit more specific of what I'm trying to get. But it's all been like footage from movies, 80s movies, of people just kind of driving in their car alone. Yeah. Whether they're happy or sad or in between or whatever. I found a little bit of it at the moment. I'm digging through all these X-Files episodes because I know there's definitely stuff like that in there. Yeah, I got one from Terminator. What's some of the other movies? I forget, but yeah, there's a few. Probably get him Sylvester Stallone if I can find it. But yeah, and of course, if you know of any like scene or something from an 80s movie, doesn't matter what kind it is, as long as it's somebody like driving in their car, or hell, maybe just even standing alone in the rain, sort of like an introverted type of scene like that could really fit, then hey, definitely by all means link it, or just say what it is, and I'll dig it up if I can. Hello, Conquistador. What's up, Steve? Hi, Terry. Hi, iDub. Thank you. Do you watch VOS Life? He plays jingles. Maybe. Not that I know of. I will, I'll check that out. All right. Okay, so I got the visuals. Yeah, I got a few things planned for this year. I got that going on. I definitely know I'll have more mixes at this point, for sure. Maybe by the end of spring, maybe the middle of spring, not sure yet. Yeah, I'm always looking for stuff, definitely. Terry Davis, isn't it sad Kurbada got taken down? You took his place. I think I necessarily took his place. I was here a little bit before he was. I was here like beginning of 2015. Came in a little bit later. But we talked like a decent amount through comments, and what sucks is you would think that he would have contacts, way for me to like actually reach him a little bit more, because when, as far as I know, like when he disappeared, there's no, like, he left no additional info as to why. And yeah, that does kind of suck. But no, it would be nice to see him back for sure. But yeah, I wouldn't. So if we have music ideas, do you have an email we can send them to? Yes. Yeah. You can send it to my SoundCloud as Jay Sanders. It's on my bio. And then my email is a cometcourse64 at Gmail. So yeah, if you got music ideas, go for it. If you have requests, whether it be you or somebody you like, go ahead. I always try to listen to anything that anybody has to show me. Gotta catch them all. But yeah, you're welcome, Terry. But no. Even then, like, I'm not trying to take any like places. We've all kind of been, yeah. Okay, so what else we want to talk about? I guess on my end, I'll talk about class and everything. I've been doing music production classes at this college over here, and for the most part, it's going pretty good. It can be hectic juggling some of the classes sometimes, but I've been hanging in there. Studio class has been going pretty good. Yep, learning how to record stuff a lot more in there, like making an album, that kind of thing. For example, even had some singers come in and do some stuff. Um, we also don't just like watch the teacher. We also, I think we're involved in a lot of ways. It's very interactive. So yeah, it's a good class. The test went pretty good, I would say. And then of course post production, that class is going all right too. The last test went okay. I'm confident this one should go good. Of course, the more I keep studying. But yeah, post production is the class where you're using Pro Tools to put background music and sound effects and dialogue and everything in their own track and basically mastering it all for movies and whatever videos. So post production has to do with sound and movies. Yeah, sound design, putting everything to film or shows or even games, doesn't matter. Just yeah, audio to video. Pro Tools, I've been getting the hang of it a little bit more, I would say. I've always been into like FL Studio in terms of making stuff. I don't think FL does syncing to video that I know of, though. I'll have to check on that. But yeah, Pro Tools does that with video, but I would say a lot of it is kind of manual in a lot of ways in terms of music making. Took me a second to get the hang of it, but yeah, there's a lot more to that one, I would say. Yeah, it's going all right. And then this summer, I have it set up to where I'm going to be doing some classes. Yeah, I'll keep doing ones for the summer because I want to get these core classes out of the way. Because there's the English and the history and stuff like that that comes with it. So, in order to graduate, I mean, yeah, if I want to get associates, if I want to get a bachelor's in music production, you got to do math. I guess that'll happen when it happens. Yeah, yeah, that's going good. Oh, here's my volcano lamp. I like cool like night lights and stuff like that. Yep, there's a volcano that shoots these little beads. So the lights are LED. And my lava lamp's over there. Yeah. So, what else I've been doing? Been walking way more now that it got nice again. Yeah. I like walking in the store, just through the neighborhood in general. I'll usually be like listening to music or something while I'm walking. And of course on the way to college and everything. Work is going pretty good too, for sure. Um, it's one of the managers. It can be hard to tell what she wants sometimes when she'll tell me she wants me to come in and take care of something in the kitchen without having, or no, I mean, if I want to help her, I don't have to ask, do you need help? It's like I can just go in there and help her. But a couple times when I have, apparently it's not the right way of helping her. So you're supposed to be on the register. It's like I know, but I'm helping you do the sandwich too because you were busy. I was taking your advice or whatever. But I mean, she's not. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's going okay. Other than that, but yeah, this place it's a sandwich place called Tom and Chi. Used to work at a sandwich place called Sloshki's, and I quit that recently in February. So this recent one, it's been working there for just a little bit, but yeah, Sloshki's it definitely didn't work out. That after a little bit when another particular manager was kind of off the walls in terms of his anger problems. Yeah, for sure. He he can definitely be mean. Um, yeah, apparently hearing someone on a headset at a drive-through and him yelling at the same time, them saying two different things at the same time. That's multitasking to him. Apparently, he likes to say that it's called multitasking. Is like not really in that case. Yeah, he would also have a way of, or not even a way, he would just flat out say, you were supposed to have known that already. When this is sort of the kind of job where they don't train you, they don't always train you on everything, or Sashis anyway. Seems like they train you for the position they think they want you for the most, and you basically have to ask if you want to do more the other position. Yeah, there was another worker that was at that same exact time already talking about how she was wanting to get out of there, already looking for jobs. The job itself was going pretty fine, but that one guy, it was kind of hard to deal with, especially when it seems like he was the one I was getting the most hours with. And they put me on a shift. That's called a horrible boss, says Terry. Yeah, you're right. I can't, no arguments there. Yeah, he was the kind of manager who his rules are drastic. I would say be a lot different, are a lot different than the other managers' rules. It seems like he just makes up shit as he goes along. But yeah, this new job is going okay. Um, what else? Been talking to fans a lot more than I ever have. So I'd say after a while I've been getting approached a little bit more. like through SoundCloud or on here through the comments. Um, Followers of the channel or fans or whatever you want to call them. I've always liked seeing get all the compliments and everything. People saying that like what I upload, and in a lot of cases they'll well actually, and not as many cases as you would think, but plenty of people who have approached me and just to talk because I've always been open to that. I'm approachable. So yeah, I've been hanging out with some fans on Discord. Yeah, they're really cool. And a couple of them are producers themselves that I might have featured. And yeah, really funny too. You can have a good conversation. And we've been playing Fortnite. Yeah, a lot more. I'm I started it recently. Started back up recently. I'm already on fit level 50 now. Level 51. Um, yeah, we'll get together for like team rumbles and stuff like that. And yeah, that's a pretty expansive game, which I like. And drive around cars and shit. Get to build forts. So yeah, pretty fun time playing that with them. Terry, would you be happier if you didn't have to work that job? Being able to do more that you enjoy. Hmm. I mean, if you want to help out, that's up to you. Yeah, you mentioned that. And thank you. I'm glad you like that mix. Yeah, that has a lot of good stuff in it. Yeah. To answer your question, that particular job, it's, I like it, but just certain things here and there that can make it a pain in the ass. But the thing is, that's most jobs, is the thing. So I don't really let that get to me. It's a lot more manageable than the last one, at least. Yep. Be cool to have like a store job again, stocking stuff. Yeah, the last one that a while back, that manager was just impatient in general. Sorry to be that guy, talk shit about managers, but it's always like one out of a few that kind of makes things tough for everybody. Not just me, but the kind of manager everybody says, "Oh, he's just that way." you know. Yeah, I'm reading the comments. Well, thank you, Terry. That's entirely up to you, but that would be great. And of course, I've always done that. I'll try to help people as much as I can too, for sure. So thank you. What else I've been doing? I have, in terms of shows and stuff, I haven't been watching like a whole lot. A lot of ways, I'd say it's like music a lot more than anything. Been doing homework a lot too, work. But in terms, when I'm watching something, I've been watching a lot of Workaholics. Really funny show. Um, yeah, if you like super rapid fire, like Malcolm in the Middle or Arrested Development type stuff, it's kind of surreal humor. You'll probably like it if you haven't seen it. I was on Comedy Central for quite a long time. Wait, is it still going? I forget, but yeah, they're just a great trio of guys in terms of comedy. And I say it's a show that really stays consistent to um, from season one to present. Yeah, great sight gags too. Like when that one when they win the contest at their office because they're telemarketers and they cheated their way to win the contest too. Like he starts calling a parent and the kid answers and he has the kid go get the parent's credit card. So they basically win by cheating. So they win a refrigerator. I think their TV busted. So for the Super Bowl party, they just get the refrigerator that they won that has a little TV screen on it. So it's a shitload of guys in a room watching a refrigerator. It's it's just funny. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're great. What's up, Love Corp? In terms of music, what have I been listening to? Really, quite a lot of what I've been listening to over this past year, and yeah, a lot of stuff that I would say is in that mix. A lot of those artists, not just the vaporwave mix, but the stereo glad one too. Yeah, kind of the more interesting, kind of wacky side of electronic. Always going back to Pink Floyd. Always, I never lose classic rock. I always keep it with me. Yeah, listen to Boards of Canada the most, or I mean, here recently. Yeah, a lot of artists that I like to just go through their discography again. And of course, I got right now. I've got stuff on shuffle. Yeah. So King Crimson, of course, King Crimson. Yeah, those guys are great. Definitely. Rush has always been huge for me. Yep. Tom Sawyer is one of my favorite tracks from them. All of it, really. um, Limelight is a great one. Yeah, I love stuff like that from people like Rush and Pink Floyd. Um, the Mars Volta is a somewhat modern example that just make their rock just super layered kind of thing where there's always something going on, and in a very harmonious way too. Like for example, with Pink Floyd, their album Dark Side of the Moon, I think every song has something as a sound effect incorporated that has to do with the song and the lyrics. Like Time, of course, has a bunch of clocks going crazy towards the beginning. Money has cash register noises. Um, on the Run is like running in an airport type noises, just set to like just crazy like psychedelic music. I love how they incorporate the keyboards. Their singer is great, David Gilmour. Um, yeah, the other guy sings too. Welcome to the Machine. Yeah, Dead Snake says that Welcome to the Machine was great too. Yeah, that's another incredible album from them called "Wish You Were Here." That's on. Love Have a Cigar. That's on there too. But yeah, all of the songs on that album, they're very similar things. And it's got a song on there, a very long song called "Crazy Diamond." That's essentially about Sid Barrett. Sid Barrett, their original singer before David came along. So yeah, "Wish You Were Here" is kind of about that, and of course, it applies and means different things to. It's written in a way that can mean anything about anyone, really. But that's definitely the main person they kind of had in mind, and it's also about the music and not just that song, but that whole record is about the music industry and just how pain in the ass it can be. Have a Cigar is about that song is about kind of about just like getting ahead in the music industry, and like kind of being talked to about, people trying to pick up your records, have you on their label, and barely even know anything about you. Um, and it's just kind of a song about tall tales and stuff. A lot of lies and truths about, um, just making it big, really. Um, what it's necessarily supposed to take to make a hit. I like the line. By the way, which one is pink? Which like is in reference to somebody who's saying, "Oh, I love your stuff," but they don't. They clearly don't know much about them in terms of the basic things like that, like their name. Pink Floyd is just a name. Pink Floyd isn't a guy. um, so, Welcome to the Machine is very similar to, way more introverted of a sound for sure. Kind of about growing up with a lot of dreams, and whether talking about whether or not it'll come true. Um, yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, kid, you played a mean guitar. I love Roger Waters. That's the other singer. I'm sorry, the name I was looking for. Yeah, Dead Snake says, I love Roger Waters. He speaks truth to power too. Yeah. What the fuck? Okay. So yeah, I'm pretty much always listening to something when I can. So Flying Lotus, definitely. I always like his mixes a lot too. Not just his albums, but all the mixes that he's made throughout the years, past to present. If you have Grand Theft Auto 5, then you probably have a Flying Lotus mix, whether or not you know it. Yeah, he's got a radio station on there called Flylow FM. There's a lot of really cool stuff on there. Not just from electronic, not just from hip hop, but even from some alternate rock too. R&B. I think Erica Badu is on there. She's been in one of his songs as well. Yeah. So he's got that one. The Essential Mix 2008 is a that's a really long one. There's a Radiohead towards the end. There's a lot of his buddies all throughout. Some of his own stuff. In his mixes, he's always been like putting in like exclusives. A lot of stuff that you'll either see in later albums, or sometimes stuff that you only hear once or only in his mixes. It's always kind of interested in me. It's just in me how he will kind of make things exclusive like that, like a kind of a present to whoever caught it. Not just the mixes, but his live shows too. I went and saw his show a couple of years ago at this point, and there was some stuff in there that I don't think I heard until like either way later or never at all. But yeah, there's some stuff that later showed up in his soundtrack, I think. To I think it's called Yasuke. Yeah, I think it's an anime show that he did the soundtrack to recently. Thank you, Cross. Yeah. Some other mixes from it I listen to go back to quite a lot. There's one called the Black Fist mix that came around the same time as like his second album, Los Angeles. A lot of great stuff on there. Bunch of it is from him too. Um, a lot of it's reconstructed too, a little bit different. So yeah, that one was like a promo CD that I think he gave to people at shows at around that time. But of course, it's on YouTube, SoundCloud. You can find it anywhere. Yeah, and there's a bunch on Dub. There's a bunch of them on Dub Lab. A lot of them are still on there. A bunch of people have been on Dub Lab. Toro Yimoa has been on there. Toro Yimoa is one of my favorite kind of people in the alt pop world, for sure. He was big in kind of like the early chill wave era too. Yeah. Anything else I've been watching? I have been watching this new season. I finished the season 2 of a show called Gary and His Demons. It's pretty funny. Not a bad art style either. Yeah, it's a comedy cartoon. Or it's a cartoon comedy action about a demon hunter. They always wear like office suits, like a business suit. Then he takes out his sword, and it turns into like an anime transition for a second. So they like to borrow a lot of, or do like homages to like anime action scenes sometimes in there. But yeah, I'd say like it's a comedy, action, horror, or whatever. Because he's a demon hunter, so there's some horror elements to it. The actual boogeyman is in that show, for example. Yeah, pretty good one. Surprisingly, it's not on Adult Swim. The first season, it was just on YouTube, like for free, on that on whatever company they're from. And so yeah, 11-minute thing. Well, like a good like 12, 13 or 14 episodes, and then this newest season is when they got picked up by Amazon Prime. So that's on Amazon now. I love you too, user simple. Yeah. Actually, I think Gary and His Demons, or that first season, was for like a second on a channel. For a second. Sci-fi channel. There was a point, I think a couple of years ago, where they tried to do an animation block. So that show was on there. And of course, Futurama, even though that show is old, they just put it in there to have it there. Cyanide and Happiness show, that one wasn't bad, but the other ones were like whatever. But yeah, Cyanide and Happiness has always been big on YouTube and the Flash world. Yeah, sort of like a sketch comedy. Adult Swim has somebody in the who got big on the internet too, in terms of like cartoonist. Yeah, a guy called Psychic Pebbles. That show that he did is pretty damn funny too. Called Smiling Friends. Did you see his tumor at Coachella? Oh, I didn't go to Coachella. Coachella was last night. Shit. Yeah. Shit. Yves Tumor is really cool though. Oh, they streamed it. Oh shit. Coachella stream. I'm glad they did that. The Adult Swim Con did that recently too. I think they've been streaming over the past couple of years. Yeah. Like they had Flying Lotus do a show on Adult Swim Live, which is pretty cool. Pretty long one too. Didn't they have Radiohead or somebody like big on there too? I think. Yeah, and then they'll show like pilots and stuff that they don't end up showing until like way later, which is cool. Let's see. All right. I got that at another tab now. Yeah, I think that's most of what I can think of to say at this point. If y'all have any questions, want to talk about something, then by all means. I got class tomorrow. Got nothing but chill time today for the most part. Might play a game or something. Oh yeah, games. In terms of like recreation or whatever, games have been the big one that I've been doing recently. I got a Switch Lite recently, so it's basically a big Game Boy, and I got a little subscription thing on it. I think it's like $7 a month. So when you do that, you have actual Game Boy games on there. It just comes with a shitload that it gives you. And same thing for Super Nintendo. So all that's all like the same pack. Um, and I like that they all have the essentials so far for the most part, especially on Super Nintendo. They have all three Donkey Kong countries. Oh, I've been playing this too. That newer Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze. Yeah, they've always stayed like really interesting. I would say I've always liked challenging side scrollers like that. Cuphead is another one. Rayman Legends, and then a lot of the Hollow Knight type games, like the Metroidvania stuff, is really interesting. Yeah, but yeah, I like all kinds of games for sure. And then what's the other game that I got? Shit, I got Breath of the Wild. I've been playing that a bunch too. Really fun one. Another huge kind of open world type Zelda game. You can jump in it. um, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on that one. You can gather all types of weapons, food. You can make food. It's a good one. And I'm not even close to done. I don't even think I'm at the halfway point. Um, so, yeah, kind of been working on that game. Yeah. Yeah, I've always been into the Zelda stuff since I was a kid. I think the first one I played was Link to the Past. Yeah, I think that was the first one I ever finished. That definitely was the first one I ever finished. That one on Game Boy called Link's Awakening is really, really interesting too. I like how that one has some. There are parts of it that just have like straight up Mario characters in it. Like somebody has like a pet Bow Wow or whatever that. What's it called? Oh yeah, Chain Chomp. Yeah. Sometimes you'll get like a Goomba as an enemy. Yeah, it was a cool one. Swamp Rainbows, Zelda 2, NES Forever. Yeah. Terry says, I didn't know you streamed. I do this very occasionally when I have enough stuff like gathered up to talk about. Otherwise, it would just be me and go, hey, what's up? Well, bye. Or whatever. Did you print the photos? I print those, yeah. Yeah, that's Santi Gold back there. Artist I listen to a bunch. And yeah, there's like a Twilight Zone poster. It's a show I like a lot. I'm a zoner for sure. Yeah. Up here I got a bunch of other stuff I put up on the walls. On a picture of the cover from Artificial Intelligence from Warp Records. They recently reissued that, but that I think it came out in either like '92 or '93. I was born in '93 actually, so always interesting to hear like super old electronic music like that really paved the way for other stuff. Aphex Twin was on that record, on that compilation, in the form of, what did he call himself? Yeah, Polygon Window. Yeah, Autechre's on there. Speedy J, one half of the Orb. The track on the end of that one is really cool. Um, yeah, it's just really cool, like 90s electronic. That's a good album, and it or a compilation album. I've always liked the artwork for it. It's just of like a robot guy just sitting in a chair with a joint, with in a room with a big stereo and stuff. The cover for Dark Side of the Moon laying on the floor, or the vinyl laying on the floor. And it's all done in just a 90s era CG, like CGI. I've always liked that kind of stuff. Donkey Kong Country, I've always liked got some of that hung up. The artwork for that was always interesting to me too, because it's also, I would say, the older ones, it's like older CG that definitely has its own charm for sure. Yeah. Then I got like a thing from Rocco's Modern Life. The cover for Boards of Canada, or one of them, this one called Twoism. Yeah. Oh yeah, Flying Lotus's. What's that EP called? Oh yeah, Pattern Grid World. The back and front cover to it. Really psychedelic. Yeah, that Fly Low album is a really good one. Really, that's one of his more like cartoony and wackier ones, for sure. Dead Snake says Rocco's Modern Life was ahead of its time. Yeah, definitely was. Yeah, that one was super funny. That's the one I'll go back to here and there as well. Rocco is definitely one of those cartoons, or I'd say quite a lot of them from that era, are ones that I'd say have a very like long lasting, like from kid to adult sort of rewatchability. It ages with you for sure. A lot of stuff about that show that make way more sense and get funnier as you get older, for sure. That movie that they did recently was pretty cool too. Yeah. Oh, Invader Zim did one too. Yeah, they did a new movie a couple years ago, I think. Also really good. I like the airplane episode of Rocco, the one where they're in coach the entire time. The one where they're at the mall and like that antique. No, the boutique. Yeah, yeah. They're all great. I love his dog, his little pup. What's his name? Spunky. Yeah, Spunky. What's another one? Hey Arnold was the one I was watching a lot when I was a kid. In terms of like Nick shows, Cartoon Network, definitely Courage the Cowardly Dog. That was always a big one for me. It's completely just insane. I love it. Yeah, a big Courage episode that I've always liked is called "The Tower of Doctors Are Lost." That's a 30-minute kind of episode, because they're normally like a half quarter hour. But yeah, that one is a really cool one about basically a really rich guy who's really depressed, so he wants to make everyone else depressed with him. So he has these big sadness cannons, these cannonballs with like a potion that he makes that just makes everybody sad along with him. So of course, Courage like goes in there as like a pizza delivery guy and starts fucking shit up. Yeah, that one's really cool, and it has a really interesting atmosphere to it. Um, Especially like in the music, like very orchestral sounding. Um, yeah, it's something you would damn near something you would hear in like a movie, like in a more like serious scene, that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, they were always really good at that. Oh, what's some other episodes? All the Chicken from Outer Space ones are good. I think there's three. Like the I think the very first, like the pilot episode, was him versus the chicken from outer space. When he comes down to the chicken the chicken coop. Yeah, Eustace is a farmer. That's what he does. But I think you only see like the chicken coop like maybe like a few times. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, the Eustace is a farmer. Oh, that one episode. The farmer gods, they get all pissed off at him because he doesn't farm right. You're not a farmer, and he goes, fine, I'll farm something, and he just throws seeds on the ground and he yells at it to grow. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, so he's a farmer. Yeah, so he ends up what doesn't the chickens like his own laser gun goes off on him, and then he just turns into like a piece of fried chicken, and then on that revenge of the chicken from outer space, he's just a fried chicken with legs and a gun, so he doesn't like have any head. He looks like the Thanksgiving Christmas chicken at dinner. That one is yeah cooked. Yeah, love that one. The art styles on that one is always yeah really crazy, kind of mixed media sort of. Sometimes they'll just flat out put it like in CG or they'll drop it in. Sometimes they'll put the creator will put himself into the show like on the TV or something in the background. What are some of your next mixes? Says Josh. I know what they will be, but I don't know how I don't know how soon they're going to come along. So I'm not trying to force one. I yeah, I want it to all like make a mix and like a nice cohesive thing. So I try to let things come in gradually as I see them until I have enough gathered to make it like at least an hour thing. So I do already have some stuff gathered for the next for the couple mixes that I'm doing, and of course that visual will be done here pretty soon. But yeah, not exactly sure when, but it'll happen. Still finding stuff for it here and there. Yeah. Dead Snake. I came back twice for revenge. Oh yeah, that third chicken episode of Courage. That's when like it was like a three-headed chicken shows up. No, 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 no. That's something else. I think there's like a goose episode where they're looking for their brother. That might be the one that I'm thinking of. Love the one where that robber busts in and thinks that they are his family, and I was like, "You, me, we're gonna go and do some heists," and he keeps calling them like mama mashed potatoes and what did he call it, Eustace? Something I don't know. But one of the best parts that made me laugh in that episode is when the cops show up and Courage answers the door and he's going a blue a blue, and the cops are like, have you seen this guy? And they have the pictures. Like Courage is basically saying, yeah, he's right here, and he's pointing at the door, and they're saying, so you sure you haven't seen anybody? And then he literally takes out a sign that says he's in here, like a big like giant casino type of sign. And then they go, well, if you do see him, be sure to let us know. And then they just leave. The cops in that show, they're great. Yeah. LeQuack is a great villain in that show. I think there's like 2 or 3 episodes where he's the villain. He's just like this overly French duck. Yeah. That hot air balloon one is funny. I can go on about that fucking show forever. Yeah. What else did I watch a lot? Dexter's Lab, of course. Samurai Jack, of course. I really like it how it ended off recently. Well, not recently at this point. Yeah, great show. I love the art style. It's crazy. Yeah. Some of my favorite episodes on Samurai Jack. A big one. A big one are the Scotsman episodes, especially that first one where they meet on this never-ending bridge, and they end up having to like team together to face the enemies. And I love the guy who they got to voice the Scotsman. He's great. He's one of my favorite voice actors out there. His name is Joe DiMaggio. So he's voiced so many people in the cartoon world. Um, Probably up there with Tom Kenny and Steve Bloom, all those guys. But yeah, Joe DiMaggio, he voiced Bender from Futurama, Finn, no, the dog, yeah, Jake from Finn and Jake Adventure Time. Yeah, that guy's everywhere. His Scottish accent, the hill dude, it's hilarious. Yeah, it was a good. That show always had a sense of humor for sure. I like that episode where it's all just Aku telling. He gathers all the children up around and basically fills their ears full of like propaganda of how Samurai Jack is like the enemy and he's trying to kill everybody. He tries to get everybody on his side, and you already see like the kids they already hate Aku. So yeah, he always keeps coming up with these like really dumb like fairy tales. That's a funny one. Um, why am I drawing blanks? The three blind archers episode is really cool too. I like that one where he faces off with the archers in the tower. They're blind, so to be just as good as them, he kind of trains himself to go off of sound just as much as they do, and blindfolds himself. That one's a really cool looking one. Jack and the Five Seasons is another really cool one. That's one where every handful of minutes is kind of split into its own season of the year. So there's a winter part of the episode, there's a summer part, fall. Yeah, that one's really cool. Oh yeah, Samurai versus Samurai. I like that one. Samurai versus Ninja. Wasn't the ninja a robot? I forget. But in Samurai versus Samurai, that samurai was just a guy with like a really bad uh like muscle suit. Yeah. All right. Sorry, I don't have a lot to talk about at this point. Yep. I really got to refresh my memory. These Jack episodes. There was this one that always creeped me out as a kid. It's called like the three Jack Tales. So the first one, and that episode is him trying to figure out which giant viper or giant sea serpent to let eat him because they tell him that they're basically a portal and they'll take him back through time. But the other one doesn't, and he'll just eat him. So they tell him riddles and he has to figure it out. That one's funny. The second one is the one I'm about to talk about, and then the third one is where he's trying to free a fairy that can grant wishes from a castle. But the second, that particular second piece was, yeah, it always like threw me off, like in terms of what you would normally see on Samurai Jack, where it just got weird for a second. It basically ended with a robot family just eating each other. Because, sorry, I spoiled it, but yeah, it's a family in like a forest that you think is gonna give Jack shelter, and they do, but they try to eat his sword because it's made of metal. Um, and they're just a normal looking family, and later on you find out, oh, they're actually robots, but they're apparently metal eating robots. That was so weird. Yeah, cannibal robots. And oh yeah, the sea serpents, they were both lying. Yeah, they both would have ate him. I think they did actually. Yeah, what I've been watching in terms of anime, um, I watch some here and there. One Piece has been like a big one for me at the moment, and of course, like I started like super late into it. Like I didn't, I don't think that's one that like kids WB really played a whole lot, and compared to like Pokemon or whatever. So it was a lot later when I started watching online and everything. One Piece, yeah, it's another one of those anime shows that I like that has like a really good sense of humor in it. Um, Shitload of episodes, like they're still going on, I think. But yeah, that's a cool one. I've always loved Cowboy Bebop for sure. Um, yeah, One Piece is the one that I've been watching the most here recently. Hmm. The dude who voices Jack is Hermes Conrad on Futurama. He is, yeah. That's Phil Lamar. Yeah, he was on the first few seasons of Mad TV. Um, and then yeah, he's kind of one of those actors. He started out doing a lot of like comedy, like like live action, and then he started doing voice acting like way more. So I'd say you'd see him a little bit more in voice like cartoons now. But yeah, that guy's great. Um, Dead Snake Bebop was a reason I got a saxophone. Yeah, right. Yeah, Bebop has another, or at least like the American like dubbed version of the show, has another voice actor who's in quite a lot too. Yeah, his name's Steve Bloom. If you know the guy, what's his name? Like Tom from Toonami. He's like the host of it in his ship. He's got the helmet. That's Steve Bloom. He voices him, and he voices what's his name from Samurai Champloo, like the rebel type guy who can't read, and he voices the guy from Big O. That's another anime that Toonami was playing a lot. So yeah, like those anime, the people like to get people to dub for them. Really loved that guy, Steve. He has this particular voice for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like a bunch of like samurai themed anime sometimes. So yeah, Samurai Champloo has always been a big one, and one called Afro Samurai, where the voice actor voices him as Samuel L. Jackson, and yeah, he's great. And the samurai himself is like he's pretty quiet for the most part. So as that character, he doesn't have too many lines, but he also voices multiple characters in that. The main being like the inner Afro samurai, um, like the mouthy version of him, where he'll talk a lot as him. But yeah, Samuel Jackson. He's always been a huge favorite actor of mine for sure. Hold on to your butts. All right. I think that's most of what I was gonna say. If y'all have any questions, then go for it. I think I'll chill here for just a second, and then I'll probably get out of here. Thank you, Red Channel. You're welcome. Glad you like them. I think there are a couple of things I can think of to talk about. I know a lot of you like when I talk about games and stuff. Recently or last year, I uploaded something, a little bit different. I think it's like at least an hour or almost two because it's all sound effects from a game. It's called Zoombinis, The Logical Journey. It was an edutainment game from like the mid '90s. So it's made up of a bunch of various puzzles. They like test your math skills and stuff. A lot of really cool ones in there, and so I finally ended up being able to find this thing on archive.org that has all the music and the quotes and the sound effects and stuff like that in it. Yeah. But yeah, that's a super challenging game. That's one. Yeah, it's if you're on like the super easy level, then yeah, that's the point where it's for kids. But if you're on the higher difficulties, so probably piss a kid off. It pisses adults off definitely for sure. Takes like pre-planning and stuff. Yeah, that one with the fleens is interesting. The Stonehenge wall is cool, where you have to get them all to connect in some way. Because all the Zumbinis, they have like different types of like eyes or hair or whatever. So it's a lot of puzzles that involve that. It's very mathy. Red Channel says Birderbone Software. That's right. Yeah, they're on there, and they Treasure Maststorm is also on Birderbone, I think. What's that other one? That Super Solvers game. It's a logic game where it's like a toy factory type of thing. I forget what it's called. Freddy Fish is great. Yeah, Freddy Fish. It's that one's the main one that leans even more towards point and click, like it's edutainment, but it has a lot of point and click elements to it. I think I'll talk about some point and clicks here in a second. But yeah, I always liked the interesting atmosphere and Zumbinis and a lot of stuff like edutainment games like that I was playing when I was a kid. Yeah, I just turned 30, by the way. Yeah, the 13th this month was my birthday. So yeah, I was playing a bunch of that when I was a kid. So another big one was the Carmen Sandiego games, which are also Birderbun. And there's two interesting ones in particular called Word Detective and Math Detective. That the music in that is a little bit like crazy, or like stuff from like a sci-fi film or even other like cultural films. like just very noticeably professional sounding. Like I later ended up finding that most of them are from uh, either APM Music, which is a place where you can get, where if you're from like a game company or a movie company or whatever, you can buy the songs from them. It's called synchronization library music. So there's a bunch of stuff in those soundtracks that I've later would hear like in other shows after a little bit. I'd say the main example being SpongeBob. You know that one like spy theme song. Bum, down. Yeah, that's in Carmen. There's a bunch of stuff in Carmen, from jazz to Egyptian to weird like sci-fi electronic, and most of it is findable, like findable. Like there's a lot of it that's on Spotify and stuff, and still on that website. Um, yeah, probably an earlier example of stuff that got me into more experimental electronic. And of course, Dave Wise was a big one. He's the composer of all the Donkey Kong Country games. Yeah, yeah, video game music in general, really. Yeah. Oh yeah, I played Clue Finders a bunch. There was a bunch of those. Well, I think there was a good like 8 or 9, and I always like the atmosphere in those. Yeah, where it's not like, it doesn't look like a kid's game. You know what I mean? It looks like one of the more, almost like you're in like a comic book or something. Like even Zubini's, like it kind of has this look where it was clearly painted. It was like a hand drawn painting, and then they kind of like convert it into digital for the game, sort of. I've always liked stuff like that. But there's an interesting puzzle in that Carmen, or no, not Carmen, the Clue Finders game. I think it's called The Missing Amulet. It's like the word themed one, where this game, there's a bunch of games within it, but there's one towards the end where you're at a gateway and you have to guess like a 5 letter word, and you have to start by just guessing any word no matter what it is, and then it'll tell you which letters are in the wrong spaces. Yeah, which letters are in the wrong spaces. And you keep having to use those hints to find out what the word is, but you only get so many tries. Yeah, or it'll tell you like the right letters that are in the wrong spaces too. Interesting brain teaser that I was liked in that. And that game literally has a Resident Evil song in it, which I always thought was really interesting. Because I know that there's an actual, like, there's a composer for that one, but I wasn't aware that he did anything for that game, or maybe like somebody snagged it. Um, yeah, like if you play the game, you'll know it when you hear it. I think it's in that shopkeeper area. What are you buying? So that song is just, it's just in an edutainment game. Um, yeah, they're interesting, like atmospheric, kind of spooky songs in that one. I'd say all of them really at some point. One of my favorites is the 5th grade Clue Finders with the secret volcano. That's had some cool stuff in it. And yeah, I'd say when I go back, the old stuff that I've gone back to the most as an adult would definitely be a lot of the point and click adventure games, especially since there's some that I didn't end up like knowing about, I didn't know about when I was a kid, that I ended up like, kind of finding out later. Um, but yeah, a big example is all the LucasArts stuff. They even have done their own kind of an Indiana Jones themed game. That one's really cool. Um, yeah, a lot of interesting challenges in those kind of games. A lot of finding items and finding out what the hell to do with them. A lot of exploring. So yeah, that and and that one, I think it's literally like written by Steven Spielberg and that whole crew that did the actual movie. So it's like a tie-in. And he also did a really good. He wrote a really good game. I don't know if it was originally meant to be a movie and then they kind of scrapped it and then turned it into the game. But the game is called The Dig. This one and all the LucasArts stuff, I think, is on Steam now. And of course, if you have something called Scum VM, which is free, you can find it for that. Um, I think my favorite one is probably Full Throttle is a big one, and then Maniac Mansion. Either one of those. Maniac Mansion. It's a particular one. Oh, it's called Day of the Tentacle. That's right. Mansion, Day of the Tentacle. That one gets really crazy in terms of exploration because you were exploring different areas of time while switching between three different characters. It gets really interesting. I love the cartoony art style of that one too. Yeah, I think they remastered it recently. Oh, they remastered Full Throttle recently too, so you can switch between the newer remastered version and the old, the way that it originally looked. So, like if you've played the remastered Diablo 2, it's that same kind of thing. You can switch between old and new look. Yeah, Full Throttle is that might be my favorite one for sure. It's a what do you want to call it? Like motor punk. It's kind of has this dystopian futuristic kind of thing going on, and a lot of them are like bikers. They all go to like this huge, um, kind of like biker stadium. Not just bikes, but like derby cars and stuff like that too. Really, really awesome kind of art style in that game. Um, and then of course, shit, what's his name? Luke Skywalker, the guy that plays him. Mark Hamill, that's right. He's in that game. He's the voice of the villain, the guy who basically killed the guy, or Mr. Corley from Corley Motors, and tries to make it look like an accident and everything so that he can take over the company. So the main character that you play is you're basically trying to um, put a stop to it, go to the headquarters and everything, and yeah, there's a couple of really interesting arcs in it as well, because there's that villain, but there's also other things that are chasing you. Um, there is this it's like a gang, like a biker gang, but they're clearly not human. They're some sort of um, like human looking beings that they have like these weird like masks around their heads, and they kind of connect themselves to their bikes in a way. It's really interesting. But yeah, you end up crossing through their whole territory, and that's yeah, really interesting. Um, yeah, fun one. Full Throttle is probably one of my main favorites from that kind of era. And the musical is cool too. It's another game that has a great sense of humor. Um, and yeah, it was also made by the same people that did Day of the Tentacle. Yeah, Double Fine Productions. And then they did or were going to do a sequel for Full Throttle, and I guess it didn't work out shortly after that. But yeah, it was, I guess, originally meant the first one was going to be way bigger than it ended up being. Like they had a lot planned for it that they had to scrap because of time constraints and stuff. But they were going to like go even more into the like the supernatural aspect of it, like with the what was it, mind reading that those creatures can do. Um, and you can later on put a visor on it that lets you like see where all the hidden areas are, because normally only they can see it with their type of eyesight. Um, yeah, the visors that they use. So what all went into that kind of thing that they couldn't get in the game later kind of got reconstructed and repositioned and added onto in a game as we know now as Psychonauts. Psychonauts is a very different game. It's not point and click. It's more of like a third person kind of cartoony game. Looks very Tim Burton-y. um, but yeah, there's that. And then Psychonauts at least finally got a sequel. Yep, from Double Fine. So there's that at least. Hopefully we might see another Full Throttle sequel or a Full Throttle sequel. Be cool to see another Sam and Max one because I don't think that's ever happened in the longest time. But yeah, Sam and Max is another good LucasArts one. Yeah. Thank you, Marlon. Thank you, Sepru. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, 30. I'm fucking 30 now. It is interesting how it seems like it hasn't been that long since I've been, in my 20s. Time flies. Time fucking flies. Hey, Yanku. Yep. I was just about to leave here in a minute, but yeah, this video will be on like the stream section of this channel. So you go in there, you can rewatch it, and here in a little bit I will put like links and stuff that I've been talking about today in the description. So like whatever artist or whoever I've been talking about, I'll put like a link in there of like a little shortcut for you. Thank you, Yanko. I'm glad you stuck around for so long. Yeah, I think almost 10 years at this point. This channel has been around. So, yeah. And again, it doesn't seem like it's been that long either. Just putting stuff up. Okay. Thank you, Garrett. Yeah, hey JC. Thank you. Thanks everybody for all the kind words, all the compliments. And yeah, glad you like listened to me for like an hour, 30 minutes. Yeah, it's good hanging out with everybody. And of course, keep commenting. And I hope you guys have a good one. See ya.